Hey everybody, here on a very cold and wet Friday morning. Hope you're someplace warm. I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that happened in the campaign this week. We had some things that I found distressing, I guess would be the best word to say. We were in a debate Monday night, and the question was asked from Tony Busby if he agreed with a particular person's views on LGBT issue, a guy named Steve Holtze. And Tony said that he didn't agree with him, and that he had that he didn't know that he'd been endorsed, and had maybe met him one time. Went on at some length to try to really distance himself from Holtze. Holtze's views are somewhat controversial here in the city. And the next day, Holtze's spokesman came out and have now detailed that there were 4 meetings that lasted over 8 hours. 3 at Dr. Holtze's homes, where there were detailed negotiations, representations made by Tony that were completely inconsistent with things he said along the campaign trail about these various issues. It was frankly the most blatant lie I've ever seen in a public debate in my life, and I've seen quite a few debates. You know, this is just not what we need in our civic dialogue today. We already have a mayor that most of us think that we can't trust on issues, that when he tells us something, we don't think we can believe what he says, as not transparent at all. We don't need to replace one person we can't believe with another person that we can't believe. Like, I've got over 1,000 published pieces online that I've written on a whole variety of topics over the last 20 years. And not everybody agrees with everything I say. I get that. Some people are upset about things that I say from time to time. But what you're not going to find is me going to one group and saying one thing and going to a different group and saying something else. And look, it's okay to change your mind from time to time. You know, if you have a position and you're presented with new facts or arguments that you find persuasive, there's nothing wrong with someone changing their mind. I've done that certainly many times in my life. Anybody that holds to a particular position, even when the facts show the contrary, is just being foolish and prideful. But this is different. This is going to one group and saying you've got one position, and going to another group and saying something exactly the opposite within a very short period of time, and then trying to lie about the fact, or try to cover it up by lying about what actually took place. And by the way, this is not the first time this has happened in the campaign. Tony also said in front of a group of Republicans that he wanted to privatize the ambulance services. Then he went to the firefighters and said, oh no, that was not the case. And there's been other examples too. And so, you know, we've gotten very cynical about our government these days. There's a lady named Liz Murray who said that cynicism is the atrophy of imagination. She wrote a book called Homeless to Harvard. And that's how so many of us feel these days, is we're just cynical about everything. And so I'm going to ask you to exercise your imagination and imagine that we can do something better at the city of Houston. That we can have leadership that we believe, that we trust, that runs a transparent government, where we get things done, and contracts and jobs are handed on the basis of merit and not based on the size of somebody's campaign contribution or personal relationship. I think that most of you who've known me over the last 40 years here in town and known all the various things I've been involved in, from Galveston Bay Foundation to Interfaith Ministries, to being on the TSU Board of Regents, to helping draft the evacuation plans after Hurricane Rita. Those of you who dealt with me know that you can trust what I say. You may not always agree with me, but you can trust that what I say is what I believe. I think that's what we need at City Hall.